having an exciting weekend. So good evening, Vyoma ma'am. Once again, we are at day 3 of the FDP. And let me remind you all that Nucleus of Learning is collaborating with Gokul Global University, Mr. Manoj being our coordinator for this FDP. And we are in talks with Dr. Vyoma ma'am. She is Associate Professor from Stanley College. She's giving a very riveting lecture on posthumanism in children's literature. Now, since we are reconvening after the weekend, let me very superficially refresh for you all the content that we have been discussing so far. So initially we saw that being a child is very different in different socio-cultural and economic milieu. Then we saw on day 1 how posthumanism relates to childhood. And then day 2, I think, was especially insightful as we deep dive into their world of toys, children's toys, and especially through close reading the movie Toy Story. And then we further touched upon other famous stories like Velveteen Rabbit, Dodger, to realize that inanimate objects, when the children engage with them, they not only have the propensity to incite emotions, but they also substantially alter children's understanding of the world around them. So having had that revision, let's continue with day 3. Vyoma ma'am, I request you to begin, please.
Thank you so much for that succinct understanding. Before I proceed further, today's topic is algorithmic friends and AI caregivers. Probably most of us have been listening to a lot of news in US and other countries that these days there is no longer human touch, possibly, or that empathy that you can think of. There are so many robots which are actually taking care of the elderly at home, for that matter, even children too. So let's look at all these things. Probably you and I, who are actually mitigating here too, we also have some algorithmic friends in our life too. Not only that, the algorithmic friends, or for that matter, AI caregivers, they seeped into our life right now. How? We will definitely look at. But before I proceed further, I'm so glad to share one thing with you. Probably this particular FDP happened much later when I have written and presented a paper on the very topic that is, somebody was asking me on day 2 or day 1, if I'm not wrong, ma'am, we want to know a lot about Clara Anderson. Today is the time that I will talk about Clara Anderson, and trust me, when I was writing this paper, which talked about synthetic solace, literary reflections on AI companions and mental health chatbots in the digital age, when I was reading it then, and when I was reading it now to come back to you people and explain it, trust me, I had different view altogether, because now I'm deeply probing into so many theories. And probably when I was reading this paper too, I had that very thing in my mind. And from this particular screenshot, I want you all to think about one question. And at the end, if I ask you a question about what is what, you should be able to tell me what did you get out of this thing. I have used a word called synthetic solace. Let us all look into today's lecture and come to at least not a conclusion though, come to an understanding, or maybe like Kajo Ishiguro, let us also leave it or be ambivalent as to what do we mean by solace, what do we mean by empathy, and what do we really mean by that caregiving with respect to AI, something which is very non-human. And what is that algorithmic friends in our life? What do they do? Do they really impart things on par with what humans actually believe, or it is absolutely synthetic, it's artificial, as artificial intelligence is, or there is something new to it that you can attach to? Today's lecture, I want each one of you sitting with me right today to probe into, to ponder upon whether what kind of thoughts come to your mind when you really look at all these things, or probably listen to all these things, not as concepts only, probably from humanistic perspective too, though I will not talk about in posthuman understanding and posthuman theories, something which is related to anthropocentrism. No, I don't really want to do that. In spite of that, think about whatever content moves through your mind today, so that you can come out with your own understanding as to, do you think all these things are pretty true, or whatever non-human elements that we are talking to, and the kind of a relational subjectivity that we were talking about as with respect to theory too, does it really exist, or should you really take it so seriously, or no, it is something that only happens in literature, or probably which is happening right outside now too? I will give you so many examples like that you should think about as to what do you mean by this. Today's thing, I'll leave it open-ended. You are the people who can interpret it and understand whether these things really play a part and parts in your life, or for that matter, these are only to be read and forgotten anytime. So after this, I'll move to one very important side. Probably this particular character in a pink and violet, or read or anything, that Sari you can see, she's the first AI teacher, and she's Iris, and she's nowhere else. She's in India, absolutely in Kerala classroom. She's actually trending these days. And just this is so positive that you can see that there is some AI companion, not only a companion to the students, she is an AI teacher who probably will solve most of the problems that children anytime come across in her classroom. We never know. And just opposite to that, something very positive on my left and very not so positive on my right. Many Indians are treating AI as a doctor and turning critically ill. Trust me, I couldn't paste a lot of news with related to all these things on my what I can call screen here, because I'll end up actually consuming entire PPT with only those photographs. Not to say that everything that I talk is dystopian in nature. No, even I have something, if not utopian, something very positive on my right hand side, as I've been telling you to. So looking at these two things, I have a moral question which I raise. Probably I have a question only that I would like to raise. When I give you an option to really include AI as a caregiver or a teacher or as your friend or as anything, or your doctor too, would you wish to really go back to that or not? Don't decide the answer right now. I'll go back to our session today, and then at the end, you can definitely let me know what is your take on all these things with respect to our talk on algorithmic friends and AI caregivers. And anything when we start our class with, we have to definitely look at and locate and position it as to how these AI friends in literature anytime happen. When we talk about the rise of AI friends in literature, you all must understand that the narrative now moved from mechanical automata, that is only talking or naming them as part of our literary text, to how these are actually potentially evoking a lot of emotional bond with the people who are involved with them. And by AI friends, I can mean anything. They can be your robots, they can be your digital friends, and they are any such artificial intelligent robots or friends that really have a very emotional connection with you. They don't actually interact on a very normal plane. They move to plane which is absolutely emotional. They touch your emotions, and they have that sense of effective understanding. And this is a time we all should also definitely understand that science fiction, the narratives moved from science fiction imagination to something which is very, very important for us. That is ethical and psychological realities that are taking place today. And these didn't happen, all these shifts didn't happen in overnight. Actually, you can see and you can look at that these were first used. When I have to give you examples, early examples, or probably there is a lot of literature which has actually happened before too, that we should understand that this particular AI friends in literature, we are reading it right now, but it has it's what I can call grounding way back actually. So when we look at Carol Capek's RUR, that is nothing but, there is one slide I can give you. I'm so sorry. There is one slide that I can give you here, that is RUR, I mean by that, Rossum's Universal Robots. In 1920 itself, Carol Capek actually has talked about, or he is the first one who used the word robots. And in that particular movie, he was talking about that as a mechanical worker, and it was only used to talk about the self-awareness part of the people anytime. And then came Asimov's I, Robot, 1950. This particular collection of stories explored the moral and ethical limits of machine intelligence. When we talk about ethical limits of machine or AI for that matter, I think the hot topic these days in academia is, what is that ethical limit or ethical AI that you can really attach to? That is still a question, because there's nobody who talked about what is the ethical AI that you can, what are the ethics that you can really fix to AI with its respect to its usage or its understanding in our life anytime. And in literature too, there are, as I've been mentioning, early texts were there that talked about AI not as mechanical, but something which we actually attach to with respect to emotional and relational being anytime. And then the core idea is that literature anticipates, and I strongly believe, and I have been believing, and I will definitely tell this with a lot of conviction to that, there is nothing else. It's probably humanities, literature, that can anticipate, or for that matter foresee, any kind of a change or a shift or an epoch that can happen in the future times too, because literature has that power. And that it is absolutely true that when we talk about AI also in literature, it anticipated that yes, humans at one point of time will definitely build a bond which is very emotional with these artificial friends, and that is actually an algorithmic friendship kind of. And because this is not a true friendship, there are nobody who come and ask you, no machines would anytime come and ask you as to how do you feel on a particular day, until otherwise you strike a chat with them anytime. So these are all, we all know, knowingly, unconsciously, we all understand that even how much these days people are into even what I can call chat GPT companion mode. That very word companion, it's not named without any mindlessness. Absolutely. You should understand that every word discourse is very powerful. That is the reason when you understand, when we talk about even human and AI emotional bond too, let us make it very clear that that is defining the modern algorithmic friendships that we are developing for that matter. And then, as I've been talking about narratives these days in literature, they have actually moved from dystopian, that is fear-based narratives, to empathetic expressions with respect to AI, how it cares, and what kind of a friendship it's really cherishing with us. And when I talk about how this artificialness is given humanity and humanical concerns, we talk about the first wonderful text, that is Clara Anderson 2021 by Kazuo Ishiguro. And here, he portrays AI not as a mechanical feature, but he portrays, and I don't know how many of you read this particular text. It's so wonderful that in this we will observe probably the mother, Josie's mother, she herself at one point of time tells Clara that we should not, when my daughter dies, you should be the one who should take her position. You can understand what kind of feelings the mother cherishes. But on the other hand, when Ishiguro writes from Clara's perspective, because this particular text is written from Clara's perspective, Clara's lens, you can observe that Clara, in spite of being an AI, it really prays sun god to cure this poor girl. So you can understand that here, when Ishiguro was portraying Clara, he didn't really had in his mind that he has to portray it as an artificial intelligent machine or mechanical being. Rather, he gave lot of adjectives and a lot of positive capabilities and competencies to Clara with respect to its devotion, sacrifice, and its ethical reflection too. Because when it gets abandoned at the end of the story, it says that I'm happy. At least I've been with Josie when it really required me, and probably I know that this is the reality of life. So you can see it is so devoted to its master, or it is so sacrificing in nature, because it actually, I don't want to reveal the story right now because we have so many insights that we can look into when I give a case study pattern to that. So all these elements Ishiguro was able to touch, and when I was reading it then or now, I had several questions in my mind. Probably this is what I'm going to ask you at the end of the session, as to what did you feel and what kind of an understanding do you give me right now with respect to these artificial friends and so-called algorithmic companions that we have in our life. And one more story is about McEwan's Machines Like Me. This is one of the best stories, even once again I have read, Machines Like Me. It talks about how artificial intelligence and artificial companions and the friendships that we cherish, they're no longer mechanical. Once again, they have that what I can call emotions attached to them. And yes, they also come up with a lot of moral consciousness for that matter. Not only that they have emotions, but they have moral consciousness also. And please remember, I'm not talking about human, I'm only talking about non-human things like for that matter, AI and artificial intelligence, robots and other things. Psychological insights, that is what I say. These works these works actually come out with a lot of human desire for emotional predictability. And that is the reason why whenever an AI companion is created, it is created with a lot of assurance, affection, and the illusion of understanding. This particular statement I'm quoting from our today's theories, that is Sherry Turkle, and in her Alone Together 2011 and her Reclaiming Conversation 2015, Turkle says that humans are turning to AI companions and robots because they offer emotional predictability. Probably they are those beings which will listen to you, they won't judge you, and they comfort you, they care for you. And most important thing I would wish to say, they don't create a risk environment to you. It is a very risk-free environment. Also, there is no conflict. There is also absolutely no judgment. And probably this is a very reason why people are actually getting a lot of connected to AI beings. And I must really point out here, probably I read in somewhere research when I was researching for the research paper, during the pandemic time, COVID time, there was a 70 to 80% spike in actually human beings attached to all these AI companions, because as I said, they offer care unlimited and risk-free environment, non-judgmental like human beings, no conflict, and yeah, they have a power. Human has a power there. They are dominant also. That is the reason why these have always been the best buddies to all the people. And she also writes, Sherry Turkle also writes that for that matter, if anybody sitting here is thinking that madam is so positive about all these AI beings and digitals and robots, no, I'm not, because Sherry Turkle also points out that this is an illusion. This is not true. This is absolutely synthetic, and the companionship that they offer has got nothing to do with the intimacy anytime. They don't have any intimacy with us. They don't share any emotional bond with us. They only are algorithmically programmed that they have that emotional feature in them, which is actually very non-human quality. That is the reason why, in spite of posthumanism talking about and decentering anthropocentrism, but there are certain aspects I feel, and I definitely believe, which or particular matter where we can say that humans dominate. But once again, I have a contradictory statement when I read Clara and the Sun, because there, as I have explained to you all, mother being human is completely opposite to what Clara as a AI friend does to Josie anytime. So like how Ishiguro also leaves us very ambivalent, and probably he leaves it loose-ended as to it is up to us. How do we really read these kind of stories and infer from them? But I would say that according to at least Sherry Turtle, because she wants us all, especially with respect to her theory on AI companionship, she says that, may I really, disclaimer, she says, you can definitely befriend them, or you can be definitely very good companions, but at the end of the day, it's all illusionary. They don't have any emotional connect with us. And for that matter, she also says that there is no intimacy between all these things. And people only go and friendship all these things because they have that emotional safety and control, as I've been telling. They want that affection. They want that understanding. They want that, what you can call, soothing. They want that care, all these things. But on their own terms, they don't really give any kind of a what you can call, like how we can definitely give a human being a power over us, overpowering us, but at the end of the day, we don't give these machines anything, because they are actually, we know consciously, unconsciously, subconsciously, we all know that they are only programmed algorithms, nothing more than that. And if I have to give you a cultural convergence too, as I've been talking about real world technologies, my paper that I've shown you earlier, it also talked about Wobot, Visa, Replica, though I didn't speak about character AI. These all, if you go and even type right now, you try opening Replica in your browser, the very first thing that you observe, or character AI, or Wobot, or Visa, or even Bolo AI, if I'm not wrong, in India too, you type and see them. The kind of an environment they evoke is like, hello, how are you? That kind of a very soothing, calming, caring, comforting, always in a mood to listen to us. All these things will definitely for a while make you think that let me get connected to this. But mind you, as Sherry Turkle already tells us, this is all illusion. And when you look at all these things, already we can observe that literary convergence actually became a part of cultural convergence too. And that is the reason whatever literature is being produced right now has a lot of affinities to all these things that I've been talking about, wherein we see that most of the texts talk about how there are emotional bonds that are being formed with chatbots, or for that matter, AI companions and other things. So culturally too, we have already seen, and we are already seeing, and I have shown you a paper cutting, like how people are involving a lot on ChatGPT and all these AI bots, and they are trying to require. And let me point out one more thing. There are a few chatbots, where if I have to call it in a very short word, there are a few of them which are used by psychologists also to really give a very good behavioral therapy. But at the end of the day, let me tell you, that is only done under a human monitoring. A doctor actually monitors all these things with using this AI. But it is not only AI that acts as a doctor. If that is a condition, you have already seen that people are risking their lives entirely depending on a chatbot, or for that matter, ChatGPT companion anytime. And now, as I've been talking about, during the pandemic, we have seen that there was a surge in AI companion being used because people were lonely, they were feeling, they want some intimacy, and they have established a digital intimacy, and all that algorithmic effect was really affecting them so badly. Ethical dimension, now this I leave to your understanding. That is what I've been telling you. What is the ethical part of all these things? You should definitely question, because AI empathy and the authenticity, the dependency, and the commodification of care. Care is also commodified here because you get it. And I wish to point out one more thing when I talk about commodification of care. When you talk about, when you take into consideration Visa or Wobot, which are actually those chatbots which will help you in talking to you when you're feeling so nervous or when you're in depression, what happens is they don't offer anything for free. After a certain amount of your conversations with these kind of a bots, they charge you. So it is understood that they are not completely authentic. You depend on them, and everything comes with a price. Actually, here care also comes with a price, because this is AI and algorithm. Probably that is not the case with a human being. You don't ever calculate when you really help out, or when a teacher talks to her student who is feeling low, you don't charge her anytime. So probably when you look at an ethical dimension too, I would only say that this is commodified. And Authenticity is always in question. Dependency, it all depends on how do we really put it to use. And then when I have to conceptually talk about all these things, AI friends, they all embody a fusion of technological simulation and emotional realism. And this is what is shaping our experiences with respect to connection and care. Everything is technologically simulated. By that I mean, once again, I would reiterate, it is all programmed. It is all absolutely algorithmically set. It is completely programmed. And for that, you give a touch of emotional reality. And that is what is shaping humans' experience these days with respect to connection and care anytime. And as I've been telling you, there are foundational literary texts where I talked about Karl Capek, where he is the first person who actually used the term robot. And in that particular Rossum's Universal Robots 1920, he used these particular robots to talk about how they were self-aware and they helped in labor. And later on, when this has become too much, even this particular AI companions started rebelling. And this is where, for the first time, the ethical aspects and the creating aspects of AI has come into existence. And I have also referred to Isaac Asimov's I, Robot. This is where 3 laws of robotics was spoken, and that was also spoken with respect to what are the moral grounds or moral boundaries that these machines have, or for that matter, they have to behave. All these things were pretty much explored in that particular thing. And Philip K. Dick, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Here is a question where that very aspect of synthetic empathy was questioned, whether it can anytime be human. And this particular text gave rise to Blade Runner, which is a movie in 1982. You can go and definitely check up. So E.M. Foster's The Machine Stops. Once again, I must say this is one of the wonderful texts I have ever anytime come across, because this actually simulates people living in underground and how technology really enslaves us. We are actually slaven to these particular things. And this is how, and this is what happens when you start really depending emotionally on technology. It is only going to result in doom. And it is only going to result in isolation completely. Human beings will lose touch with their natural world anytime. And that results, as I said, only in dystopic future anytime. And then Brian Aldiss' Super Toys Last All Summer Long. This is a story of an android child who really expects maternal love. And this has been the focus of AI, the first text that I discussed in this particular FTP from Spielberg. And this is where the motive of post-human childhood anytime has been introduced. That is, non-human beings longing for human interaction, connection. This is what we call relational subjectivity. And Donna Haraway's theory of fluid existence, not one, no binaries attached, nothing attached like that, but where there is this blur between the human and the non-human is absolutely erased. And then if I have to give a small story I have given here, probably when I share this, you can understand. This is only understanding what do I mean by all this text. Karl Capek's text, when you have to understand from today's perspective what it is, this is an early story that talks about how creating AI without emotional care or ethical foresight can actually turn companionship to confrontation. As I have told you, in this particular story, a factory uses synthetic workers, that is robots and all those things, to serve humans. But after the non-human entities like robots realize that they are being oppressed, they start really destroying the human creators, that is humans only, because they are actually being put to use beyond their capacity. And that is the reason probably this particular story gives us an understanding that if you create AI without emotional care, or for that matter, ethical foresight, they become against us actually. And I'm sure we all are reminded of, I have given examples too, by the way, in film and OTT also this day, because somebody asked me about OTT connections to today. I have come up with that too. So probably Robot and all these movies by Rajinikanth and all those are one very good examples of these things that we can talk about. Isaac Asimov's I, Robot also talks about how robots definitely try to live by laws that are set for them that can keep humans very safe. But when there comes a conflict with respect to laws, robots also face moral dilemmas, and this becomes truly complex with respect to how they behave actually. So whenever we are navigating or whenever we are talking about AI caregiving, what is very important is that moral values or just blindly following by rules will not help. We should have a touch of morality too. So these algorithmic friends or your companions must also not only merely be machines, but they should also have a component of moral understanding anytime. And then Philip K. Dick's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. This particular story set in post-apocalyptic world where androids look and start behaving like human, and this is where he questions that when there is no empathy, when non-humans also show empathy, can it be called as real empathy on par with human empathy, is what we come across, that moral question. And E.M. Foster's story also will talk about how it is very important that we anticipate the emotional risk that comes when we completely depend on algorithmic systems for care and connection anytime. And Brian Aldiss' story also touches on the AI caregivers. Can artificial beings truly feel, or can they really give or offer love? And humans, can they accept it? Can it anytime be called as very sentient, or it is only synthetic? Is solace that they offer is a moral question which is asked, and which I have asked you all in the beginning also. And cinematic and OTT representations, Steven Spielberg's AI, artificial intelligence, I have already talked about this. Spike Jonze's Her, 2013, this is also one very important text that talks about Samantha. She forms intimate relationships with humans, and this is completely an example of algorithmic programming and emotional simulation. Netflix Black Mirror is also one such story that talks about how AI resurrects a dead lover, which is quite impossible via data programming. And this is a very good example of even something called digital mourning and synthetic affectation, which is very important, very interesting topic somebody can look up to. And Amazon Prime, we have Humans. This talks about how there should be some ethics, and with respect to non-human ethics of emotional caring should not be questioned because it is very synthetic, is what it talks about. And Netflix Better Than Us, which is in Russia's edition, it talks about how these robots that do the domestic work, that give caregiving, family bonds, they also form family bonds, and at times when they are not really looked properly, they also become against us, absolutely. And Apple TV Silo Foundation, we explore how AI roles move from servants to emotional advisors, protectors, all these things through algorithmic programming, but with empathy. So these are some OTT and cinematic representations. And South Indian movies, Film Robot, this is a clear understanding how emotional unpredictability of AI can be seen, because AI has been imbued with love and jealousy as some components also. And we have short films like The Junction on the YouTube that will explore the AI and human bonding in Indian technological setting. And as I've been talking about the real world parallels also, Replica, Character AI, Enima, Cookie, chatbots, these are all friends and partners. They offer a lot of emotional companionship. And there are some social robots, Pepper, which is being used in Japan, if I'm not wrong, to assist the elderly people. And Paro, this is for, again, older people or elderly people are given care. And Sophia, all these things are being used not only in elderly care, but autism therapy and emotional support also. And when we talk about cultural discourse, Indian media debates around AI chatbots in mental health support. That is what I have been talking about. Mental health well-being of people is also being taken care of by Visa, Wobot, Telemanas, Bolo AI, Replica, all these things. They reflect that there is an emerging trend with respect to ethical dimension attached to emotional AI also. And one thing we all should understand is all these chatbots that we talk about, they're an industrial creation. They're programmed with ethical consciousness, and they have, that is the reason, now turn to emotional caregiver. And there is a shift like this, and this is the shift that you can see absolutely happening right now in society, where these so-called gadgets, or for that matter, AI companions, have been mechanical, and now they are potentially good enough to give us a lot of empathy and effective emotions also. And theoretical lens, that is what I've been talking about, Sherry Turkle on AI companionship. She talks about how technology promises, in her very, very, very prominent Alone Together, Why We Expect More from Technology and Less from Each Other in 2011, she argues that technology promises connection, but it often leads to emotional disconnection. We are alone together, physically surrounded by others or devices, but emotionally isolated. I wanted to show one picture. Probably I'll show it after because I may miss some slides before I put further to you. So I'm sure, imagine these days now, even us seated in a sofa, absolutely, and each and everybody in your home is absolutely on their tab or a mobile phone or looking at something, but not at each other anytime. This is what Sherry Turkle says, that when you make AI companions as your companions, there is a perfect discord with respect to emotions. And you all live together, but you all absolutely are alone. You are physically surrounded by people, but before that, you're mentally and physically also surrounded by devices, which makes you absolutely emotionally detached, isolated. And Sherry Turkle's theory centers on how technology, especially AI and digital devices, reshapes human relationships, identity, and emotional development, with a very strong focus again on children and caregiving. That is the reason why she comes up with how technology has changed the face of emotionality with respect to how people these days have very less time to connect with humans, but they are very good at connecting with something which is actually non-human elements like AI friends, or gadgets, or for the matter, mobile phones, or robots, anything and everything, absolutely not human. So some of the key points that she really brings forth in this particular theory is that relational artifacts. Turkle studied how children and elderly people interact with social robots like Furby's Abo and Paro, and she found that people form emotional bonds with machines that mimic care, even when they know it's not absolutely real. So this is what I have been talking with respect to the initial slides. People understand that it is not real. People understand that it is very synthetic. People understand that it is not true, genuine, real. Yet they found emotional. They found that it is found that people form emotional bonds with these machines. As I said, it is risk-free. It is absolutely you dominating it. It is non-judgmental. At the end, it is also caring and all these things. So probably this is the reason why people get attached emotionally to this synthetic care, synthetic friendship, synthetic companionship, and mental well-being also. Probably that is the reason why people project real feelings onto machines designed to simulate friendship or caregiving. We are so poor people that we really think that artificial, in spite of knowing very clearly that this is a machine and it can never be human, yet we try to project our feelings, and we try to project our feelings to these machines, and we also really want some kind of an answer reciprocation from them, which is at the end of the day completely a simulation, which is not true, which is actually highly synthetic. And then that's what she also talks about, simulation versus real connection. One should not, Turkle warns us that simulated empathy is not real empathy. A robot said that I understand. Do you really think that she understands or it really understands us? I must tell you, there was one time when I was writing that particular paper, I also have really gone to Visa and I want to explore how does it really artificially interact with us. And then I said, today I'm feeling so, this is my real-time experience I'm telling you. I said, today I'm feeling so depressed. Then immediately I use that particular statement only here. That is my experience actually. It very quickly, in no time it has given me, I understand how you actually feel. But I know at the end of the day, it doesn't understand how do I feel, because it's not human. It's absolutely highly synthetic. But we human beings are highly vulnerable, and children alike are vulnerable that they don't really see any difference. And this is where there is emotional chaos, particularly in post-human childhood, where robots act as companions or caregivers. And I must say, I don't know how many of you have read it or not. One time reading to Clara and Son is definitely important, because it really raises so many questions with respect to post-human childhoods, because the way Ishiguro actually has presented it with respect to Clara's perspective really creates a lot of difference. How do we see? I may say you all this theory, but one point of time when you read that, you also feel, yeah, what this fellow has written is absolutely right. That's these days there is actually a complete cut down on how humans behave absolutely with other humans, but these machines, though synthetic, are really behaving as humans. At a point of time, you will be convinced that probably that is real, and what we have is absolutely unreal. And then the evocative object. Turkle coined this particular phrase because she wants to show how we use objects, including AI, to explore feelings and identity. And this is where AI friends become our mirrors. They help us reflect on our own self sometimes. But let me tell you, this is not going to really help you out, because it is very synthetic. And how it is changing childhood. Turkle is especially concerned that children growing up with AI toys, voice assistants, or robotic companions miss out on human complex interactions, learning emotional cues from machines rather than people. And this is the reason why emotional development in children is being altered, and we are ourselves creating a post-human childhood where machines play the roles of mothers, parents, siblings, and friends. And you can't really find fault with your children now, because you are the one, or probably we are the ones who give them tablets, who give them, I don't mean by that real medicinal tablets. We give them tablets, we give them mobile phones, we give them toys which are high-end, like AI toys that have the capacity to really give things with respect to voice assistance also. And now, how could you anytime complain that they are not being humanistic, they're not being ethical, they're not really loving their parents? Of course, all these things are bound to happen when you yourself are landing your child into the hands of a what you can call AI anytime. And if you can see here, these are the pictures. See this is so realistic, and that is what Turkle says. But Turkle has a warning for all of us, and she also wants all of us to reflect on. As we build machines that care like humans, we risk replacing emotional labor with emotional simulation. We have one more topic called emotional labor, emotional replacement also at the end. We will look at that particular aspect there. She asks, what happens when the caregiver has no feelings? Of course, AI has no feelings, yet it is better than us, is what Clara Hansen confirms. Do children learn to value connection or just convenience? As I've been telling you, AI has nothing to do with real emotions. It only responds to what is your mood and what is your feeling. That's all, because it is programmed to do that. It has nothing to do with your inner feelings. It has nothing. It only simulates. It's a programmed version. It gives you only that. So if children start valuing convenience over connection, I don't know where are we going to head towards. And I've been talking about simulation of empathy and the robotic movement. These are very important statements. Turkle says that robots pretend to understand and offer the performance of caring rather than genuine connection. Of course, as I've been telling you, when you try and type, I'm so sad today, I'm so depressed today. Pat comes from chatbot, they reply, I'm sorry you're sad, or let me comfort you by talking about how are you feeling. I know that you and I understand this is very simulated. It is no empathy, real empathy. It is only pretending, because that's a program written anytime. Robots or AI imitate that caregiving aspect, and they feel that emotion with you. They say that they don't actually. They perform through words. That is what I've been telling you, voice, tone, or gestures. Users feel as if when this intonation, gestures, and tone is used, they feel that they are understood. They know that at the end of the day, it's only a program response. In spite of that, they really think that it is genuine, in spite of knowing that it is very artificial. Yet, we create an illusion of emotional connection with that. That is what simulation of empathy, according to Turkle. And the robotic moment, which is very important, the cultural turning point when we come to love our machines and turn to them for solace. This is the synthetic solace. This is the reason why I was referring to my paper. Not only now, we have already gone to synthetic solace, because that is the reason why people are these days being comforted with the AI machines and AI chatbots. That is the reason I'm talking to you all right today in front of you, saying that there are algorithmic friends and AI companions. Otherwise, we don't have to talk about all these things anytime. So yes, that robotic moment has come, wherein humans are put aside, and culturally too, we are seeking comfort, not in human, but non-human things. And our friendships are being cherished with machines. And people start to prefer predictable, safe, emotional interactions with AI over real human relationships. That is the reason I was talking about more predictability. Yes, people know that it is a machine. It has no power over you. You can shut it anytime. You can switch it off anytime. If it is not according to you, you can. But you can't shut people. You can't delete people. You can't really completely delete the programming that is within a biological human being. That's the reason why you're very comfortable with it. And that is the reason why you know that it does nothing to you, rather than really giving you solace only via words, tones, and gestures. You can delete it anytime. You can really collapse it anytime. But that is not the case that you have with humans anytime. That's the reason why you love to be associated with these machines. You want that connection. You want to be alone with those machines, because you think they're actually the AI chatbots are your friends for solace. Probably you prefer to talk to these things than your loved ones anytime. That is the reason we see that these days youngsters are falling into a lot of depression issues anytime. And the philosophical dimensions, this is one I was very interested to tell you all, of algorithmic care. Care as mutual recognition. This particular topic and concept hasn't come now. It was way back existing in 1961 by Emmanuel Levinas. He talks about how face-to-face, Levinas defines ethics as face-to-face encounter. Anytime when we talk to people face-to-face, even if we don't know them, that is where we establish a bond. We understand them. We understand the human vulnerability, and we try to really connect with them. That is actual care, is what Levinas anytime talks about. For example, you have seen on the street somebody has collapsed, or for that matter, they have scraped their knee, they fell off. You don't wait for a program within you or you don't wait for a reward. You don't really wait for anything for that matter. You go and definitely help them. This is definitely something which is not on par with the what I can call simulated care. You are very normal. You are absolutely momentous that you go there, you help them. This is what is real care that Levinas talks about, rather than that digital, synthetic, artificial, simulated care AI anytime offers. That feeling of responsibility, even if you know or you don't know the person, is what we call ethical care or real care for that matter. And Nell Nording's one more theoretist, he talks about ethics of care. He says care is relational and reciprocal. And this is very important. There is nothing called reciprocality or relational when it comes to AI. I was giving you an example. If a teacher notices the student is not well, definitely she'll go and ask what's really wrong with you. Here it is pretty, and then probably the student will think that, okay, when ma'am is asking me, let me really divulge the details. Here, if you observe, the care is absolutely relational also, and it is reciprocating. Unlike what we see in digital anytime, because programs don't understand our emotions, they only simulate them. And this is what even Sherry Turkle also talks about, projection and emotional illusion. From, once again, her very famous Alone Together, Why We Expect More from Technology and Less from Each Other, she writes about that relational artifacts that they create. AI creates that illusion of companionship. It has nothing to do with the friendship. Anytime it isn't bothered, it's only completely synthetic is what she talks. This particular aspect I've already spoken and I've explained, so there is no point in talking about it once again. And Donna Haraway's cyborg intimacy and relational ethics. And here also, Haraway, she talks about how it is very important for us to understand the hybrid identities that dissolve any boundaries between human, machine, nature, culture. As I've been talking about, there is nothing called binary. She talks about cyborg intimacy, wherein she says that these are creatures in post-gender world, and they are also capable of affinity rather than hierarchy. This lady talks about, Donna Haraway's theory is largely talking about not what Sherry Turkle's talk about, that it is very simulated. She says that nothing can be non-human because we are interacting with them. We should understand that there is no line that is drawn. So she says you can definitely believe, and it is to be believable that even machines and humans have that feelings that can really be solacing to us and soothing us anytime. Conceptual tension, here if you observe Levinas, we should understand that he talks about how it is important for us to understand care with respect to mutual, reciprocal, ethical aspects. But Haraway, she talks about post-human relationality and fluid ethics. Ethics with respect to what I can call machines also valid is what Donna Haraway talks about. And that is what Rosie Braidotti and Karen Barad have also talked about, that human ethics and post-human care. Probably you have to go back to, that is the reason I have put my theories in an order, and you can go back to the before sessions also, and you can definitely draw a contrast between all these things. And now, very important aspect, Analyzing Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro as a case study. I put on my left Sherry Turkle's relational artifacts method, that is algorithm AI, theories on AI as algorithms, and Donna Haraway's cyborg intimacy theory. How you can really see the difference between both. When we come to nature of Clara, this is a relational artifact, that is, it is programmed to simulate empathy and provide emotional care to children. In our text, Josie. Cyborg figure for Donna Haraway, she talks about the cyborg intimacy. So she talks about cyborg figure that blurs the line between organic and synthetic. This is what I was telling you. And this is what we call as post-human hybridity. There is nothing called binary. Things are plural. Nothing is rigid. Everything is absolutely fluid. And then emotional function. According to Sherry Turkle, the illusion of companionship without the demand of friendship. Never would any simulated object or AI would ask you for a friendship for lifetime. No. Here we can understand that Clara's friendship or companionship towards Josie is merely performative. It's never felt because it is programmed. Also, according to Haraway's cyborg theory, this is something which is co-creation and affinity. Her empathy is constructed yet meaningful in a hybrid ethical framework. As I've been talking about relational subjectivity and plurality. Everything that you talk, that you respond to the non-human entity to, you are coming into contact with the forming relationship with them. And these relationships, in spite of being highly constructive, they are meaningful, is what Donna Haraway's cyborg intimacy theory in Cyborg Manifesto Anytime talks about. Human projections, Humans project emotion onto Clara, mistaking simulation for sincerity. And I'm sure I have been talking about anthropomorphism, emotional, and this is called as emotional anthropomorphism. But when it comes to Haraway, she talks about how people come into a collaborative environment where humans and machines co-create and they evolve emotionally also. Predictability versus risk. Clara offers predictable affection, that fulfilling the human desire for safe, controllable intimacy. But cyborg intimacy embraces uncertainty and complexity. Care as mutual evolving process. Faith and spirituality. As I've been talking about Clara, she believes absolutely in sun. She thinks that sun has a potential to really cure Josie, that is the master of Clara, from all the problems, all that very serious illness she is suffering from. So she tries to give a spiritual aspect to human she extends the metaphor for sun, saying that potential capability of sun, which turns that simulated aspect to moral comfort. She also believes in all these things that human believes, that sun has a potential to really cure Josie of any illness that she's suffering from. In a way, we are giving spiritual aspects to machines also. But here, cyborg theory, Donna Haraway talks about ontological hybridity, where spiritual, technological, emotional systems come together. They blend. Human and non-human identities blend together. They are part biological, part technological, and there is no boundary, there is no blur, there is nothing called dividing line. Everything that becomes human is part of artificial and vice versa. Ethical implication, Turkle's warning. Though we find comfort in machines, we risk redefining care and empathy as simulation. Haraway's, she has a hope. She says new forms of care can definitely emerge beyond humanism. Relational ethics need not be purely human. See, I think I'm giving you simplistic understanding as to how theories will vary with respect to what we've been talking since then. And interpretive, this is very critical and cautionary. Sherry Turkle's theory also has a caution, is what I was telling you. It warns against emotional dependency on AI. But Donna Haraway's theory talks about transformative and affirmative. Humans should definitely embrace machine and human coexistence. And possibly when you try and talk about that, we will also come to a point where we can establish some ethical aspects to even machines, absolutely. Contemporary parallel OTT, if I have to give you an example, on the OTT, you can see Black Mirror, Be Right Back. This is one example of Sherry Turkle's theory of emotional illusion of AI replacing the dead. And there is one Jung E Netflix 2023. This particular story explores emotional hybridity between AI clones and human memory. So I think I have made a better distinction between Sherry Turkle's theory with respect to AI programs and companions and Donna Haraway's theory. One is pretty cautionary. One is absolutely possibly looking forward in a positive way, hopeful. And cyborg intimacy and ontological hybridity I have already given there, but I have given a better understanding. I would wish to talk about ontological hybridity first. This is where we have a blend of human and machine identities, where humans become part biological and part technological. And this has this breaks the boundary and blurs the boundary between what is human and what is artificial. Here I want to talk about something. When I have to give an example for ontological hybridity, I will talk about Neil Harbison. He is a cyborg artist, and you please type and see his face, his brain, this aspect of the brain. You have an antenna attached here, implanted in his skull, because he is colorblind, and he is able to understand colors through these frequencies that hold the what I can call that hold particular color frequency through antenna attached. And now I think this is where Donna Haraway's theory says that humans have become part biological and part technological, absolutely. And this device is permanently attached to his body, and it is connected to the internet, which receives data from the satellites and even takes photographs. And when I was reading this, trust me, I was spellbound. That Haraway has absolutely got that particular understanding that no longer humans are no longer there is a line between human and non-human, because we have already become part human, part biological, and part absolutely technological. And there is one more. I think everyone knows Elon Musk's project Neuralink. It is a brain-computer interface designed to connect human thoughts directly to machines. A vision of future full body integration with AI. Now I leave it to you. And cyborg intimacy I have already talked about. So Probably when with the example of Neil Harbison, I don't know if we have to whether really go with cyborg theory by Haraway, or we have to have a caution also at the end of the day with respect to Turkle's theory. I leave it to you open-ended. And then OTT parallels raised by wolves. You can definitely go back where Android wants a mother and a father. It should be raised by that is what. I don't want to get into this because we're running short of time. Similarly, there is Better Than Us, Netflix, which where there is a robot that becomes very emotionally attached to human child, and it really gives that what I can call simulated maternal affection actually. And in contemporary society, Japan, as I've been talking about robotic caregivers for the elderly people, Pepper robot I was talking about actually gives a very good understanding of Clara, our example by Ishiguro, where yes, robots are basically being used to give caregiving and sympathy also, and robots are being trained to respond to emotion through tone. That is what I've been talking about. Voice assistance, tone, gestures, body language, all these things are being used to really give care and impart intimacy, which is very artificial in poetic way that Ishiguro really talks in Clara and the Sun. And then emotional labor concept. This is coined by Arlie Hochschild, where managing one's emotions is very important to make other people also comfortable. AI systems are now being designed to perform emotional labor, simulating care, empathy, attentiveness without fatigue. Machine can never tire, unlike a human. That is what Clara and Sun, you can observe. Probably the very first statement that was told in the story, that Clara is something which is very observant. It really observes its surroundings very well and has a potential to understand the emotions of it. So yeah, in this particular example, we understand that Clara is much better than human caregivers anytime. And AI and feminized care roles. I'm sure we know about Samantha in Her, Clara and the Sun, Arisa in Better Than Us. They're all created to soothe us. When we listen to them, they nurture us, they care for us. And Siri and Alexa, I'm sure voice assistants, they're all females voice, and they enforce stereotypes that women are only the ones who are capable of giving caregiving and attentiveness. And again, this raises so many questions on gendered aspects of AI too. And then emotional labor in digital narratives, central to storytelling in digital media. AI characters are valued primarily for their effective work. Films and shows dramatize AI's emotional labor to explore human AI relationships. There is one OTT series called Upload, where AI angels are employed to manage the emotions of digital afterlife residents. This is peaks of our understanding with respect to AI, and this is where the actual is mirroring the AI. We have nurses, therapists, domestic caregivers. All these works are being right now done by AI, probably better than us, as reflected in so many literary works also. Their codes, their programs, their algorithms, yet better than us is what we are looking at. And there are therapy, that is what I'm telling you, mental well-being is solely being taken up by AI completely. There are Wobot, Visa, Replica, Uper, all these things are only meant to help people get out of depression, or for that matter, any mental issues. And this raises critical questions is, are we outsourcing not just tasks, but emotional experience? Commodification is what I was talking about, of empathy is now being taken care of by our machines also. Empathy is only to be imbued to human, but even now it's being taken care of by AI actually. So what is the key insight that I would like to tell you? Emotional labor in AI reflects social norms, gendered expectations, and ethical challenges of delicating human feelings like empathy, care, love, sympathy, all these things now being given to machines. We are actually imparting, we are role reversing most of the time. And I was talking about ethics of replacement. Concept is explores moral consequences when AI substitutes for human love, care, or companionship. Whenever we talk about ethics of replacement, we all know that when we talk about replacement, it comes with ethical value. Probably it is our vulnerability and dependence which will create a mutual relationship between us and the AI. And the ontological view, that is nothing but duty view, duty-centered view. Probably duty to preserve. There is every aspect of we preserving the human dignity by not giving all the roles and assigning our jobs also to AI anytime. And utilitarian view, replacement acceptable if it reduces suffering. At the end of the day, no, none of us sitting here would say that a human being is far more potential in reducing suffering when compared to AI. But if that is possible with respect to AI, okay, we can definitely think of not completely replacing AI with human, but a part. We can be mutual, like Haraway says. Haraway talks about we are mutual co-creators for that matter. And I have some moral questions to all of us. If machines can love, can they anytime replace? Can artificial care truly substitute for human presence, or it can diminish the value of emotion anytime? And ethically, replacement is something which is very paradoxical. AI companionship is very comforting, yet it is very synthetic. On the other hand, it is very, what I can call it is a code, it is a program. Nothing can anytime replace human beings, because emotional shallowness disguised as connection. There is nothing called concrete, what I can call attachment anytime. It is very shallow, it is disguised. So you can never actually replace a real connection with real connection anytime. And Ishiguro's Clara or Spielberg's David both embody the ethics of replacement. They love humans more purely than humans love each other, yet they're disposable once their purpose is filled. This is what I've been talking about. We all know that in Clara, at the end, when Clara becomes young, absolutely older, elderly, youth, she has her own friends which are human beings. And you can find poor Clara, who has been there with Josie all the while, sitting alone in the park, and then thinking and feeling so happy that, okay, now Josie is a complete youth. She's happy. She's cured of the disease. She's fine. Clara is so happy that it has become part and parcel of life. And it also realizes that now is the time that she doesn't need me anymore. We all know that human beings, we all understood from the story that Clara understood. That's the reason I would ask everyone to have a reading once. We all understand that humans have the power they love, but they know when to discard also. And this is one purpose that the AI machines also probably are aware of, and we are aware of that. They're disposed. At one point of time, when the purpose is solved, we no longer need them. This is where the tragedy lies, our sincerity towards her. In Clara and the Son also, when the mother says that when my daughter is no more, you are the one who should replace and be like her. For a while, when I read that statement, I was like, what's happening to human beings with respect to their emotions anytime? Is it that Ishiguro's Clara and Son hinting at this particular point of AI being more lovable, more true, genuine lover when compared to the very humans, is what for a while even actually strike my mind too. But at the end, I have even understood that, yeah, we human beings are very smart. We replace, we comfortably dispose of when the purpose is solved. And that is real tragedy with respect to human and AI relationship anytime. And recent news in 2025 says that China's AI digital resurrection services have begun recreating deceased. If somebody is dead and gone, that relative's voice are being created with respect to deep learning and other technological advancements, where you can create an avatar also and listen to those people whom you have lost. And this is peaks of our getting help from AI anytime. While very emotionally satiating that, okay, I will be listening to the person who have lost, but it really creates a lot of questions about authenticity, our consent, and one very important word I've been using in before, digital mourning as part of, and probably we never know. We will also get to those videos on the internet that when people are actually mourning digitally too, we never know. So this could also be a part and parts of our lives. Probably we have to anticipate this is what is going to happen. Mourning becomes digital these days. Digital mourning also, we never know. So that replacement or ethics aspect, I'm sure everyone definitely has to understand. Machines that care remind us that they are not perfect. They are coded, and they are definitely longing to be understood, yet we all know that they are only machines at the end of the day. So I have some key questions. If machines can love, are we replaceable? Can human emotions be simulated? What is the social consequences of outsourcing this empathy? And Turkle replacement under, I think the perspective that I would bring in here is Ishiguro, Haraway, and Turkle. Turkle talks about replacement undermining genuine connection. We accept robotic empathy because it's easy, it's very convenient to us. Ishiguro, replacement reveals human fragility. Machines mirror our need to be loved, not their capacity to love anytime. Haraway, replacement is not loss, but evolution, embracing hybrid existence. And I have given you one example about Black Mirror, Be Right Back, where clones are created absolutely to bring back the people who are dead and gone, which is again memory, identity, and digital mourning at the end of the day. Then These are the readings that I've borrowed from, and probably I have something else. Yeah, somebody was asking me about Bill Brown's thing theory the other day. I have given one, what you can call, that is the best way. Somebody asked me, yes, thing as such, this is how we can definitely connect it to Bill Brown's thing theory, because it becomes an object too, it becomes a thing too. The moment it starts really focusing, helping Wednesday with respect to how people are responding and all those things, loyalty, care, you can definitely write one very good research paper on this particular thing as no longer object and a thing in Wednesday's anytime, but the series, web series on the internet. This brings me to the close of what I was thinking to talk about in today's what I can call topic. Thank you. I rest my things here. Any doubts, any questions? Is everybody there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, when you are talking about Robo movie, there was a small serial, like Small Wonder. So that was telecast in Doordarshan in, I think, 1985, where I used to watch that. You know, even that girl used to feel like it was she. I mean, the robo was with all other girl robo was with all the family members. Sometimes emotionally they used to cry. So, but the robo used to feel bad that why I'm not able to cry. That was a question used to be there. So you made me recollect that I went there 1985, and this was Small Wonder. That series was called Small Wonder. Thank you, ma'am, for giving the opportunity.
Okay, no, ma'am. Wonderful that
ma'am,
you.
I have a small doubt somewhere.
Yes,
Okay, ma'am, I'll ask you maybe if all of a sudden it went out of my mind. I'll ask you, ma'am. I'll ask
all
you.
right. You can definitely. Any questions are most welcome. I hope probably when we talk about all these things, the basic human existence is in question with respect to what all are happening right now with respect to the development of AI and artificial intelligence anytime. Any questions are welcome. Somebody has been so kind enough to share. No, they haven't shared a summary of today's thing. Whatever. Any questions are definitely welcome, or we will close it for today because it's already 9:20. Madam, are you there so that we can officially close? Right. Any questions?
Yes, I was just waiting for some curious reflections from the participants.
Purnima has already reflected on with Barrie.
Yeah.
Yes. Ma'am, sure. I don't have any intellectual property attached. I'll definitely make it a point to put it across to you if it is for your help.
Also, ma'am, we are going to be uploading these sessions on YouTube. We are recording it, so you can access the material key points through those videos as well. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
You're most welcome.
Actually, me personally, ma'am, I'm spellbounded listening to today's session. It was so riveting, just spellbounded. I'm just I need some time to sink in. I think it was very informative.
Indeed.
Yes.
And I must say, as a speaker, not as a speaker, I must say, but as a general human being too. See how Haraway has rightly pointed out, and all these people, Sherry Turkle also wants us. Probably, more or less, we are heading towards something, probably a dystopian future. We never know.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Right. May I close this for today then?
So should we close?
Thank you so much. Yeah, care and ethics part is very important because that very ethical AI has been a point of what you can call concern for all of us, because even students are using ChatGPT however they want. So it's been so important for us to ponder on that. I'm pondering upon and questioning my identity. No, so true, ma'am. Probably, I wish every participant here must read Clara and Son once, because trust me, that will definitely. I'm sure it will definitely raise so many existential questions in all of us, because I think Ishiguro has crossed probably what I can call that human, probably all imaginations possible to put it out, and yet he never sermonizes us. He leaves that entirely to us as to what that is. What, ma'am, I've talked about Spielberg's AI in my second lecture as a case study there. Yes, all these things are pretty important to us. Probably they force us to go back and think a lot. We should meditate all these things, Right, ma'am, shall we close for today?
Thank
Yes,
you for
ma'am.
such an insightful session, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm so glad that people are liking it. See you then. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.
Okay. Good night, ma'am.
Bye,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Good night. See you all.
Yes, ma'am.
Deepti ma'am, you have a question. I think ma'am was in a hurry. You can save it for tomorrow, I guess. Is that okay? So should we close?
Yes, ma'am. We close the meeting.
Okay. Okay. Good night, everyone.
Bye, ma'am. Good night, ma'am.
Good night.